I have no idea why it hit me just then. I'm literally sitting at a stoplight, hands on the wheel, looking up at a red light when I felt it. Deep from within my stomach, up through my chest, out it came as, what is wrong with me? Why can't I get promoted? What is wrong with me? And I felt the tears stinging in my eyes, so I put on my signal and I pulled into an In-N-Out parking lot. And right there, with the smell of French fries wafting in my nose, I just thought, something has to change. I've been following everything everyone has told me for the last 8 years, and I haven't been able to get promoted. Now, little did I know that just 2 weeks later, I'd get to apply this thinking. I'm sitting in an interview with Jim. He's the scary executive. He's the intimidating executive. He's the, you meet with him, it doesn't go well, and you have a different job afterwards, executive. And I'm interviewing to be his chief of staff, his right-hand person. And the interview is going well, we're having good conversation, when I felt it again. And I don't know if it was the frustration or the French fries, but something made me turn to him and say, you know what, Jim? I'm not going to be a yes woman. I'm not just going to do what you tell me to do. I'm going to share how I really feel. And I'll be respectful. I'll do it behind closed doors when that's needed. But if you don't want to know how I really feel, then you shouldn't hire me. Yeah, he's not going to hire me. I just mouthed off to him in an interview. He's not going to hire me. And I sat there waiting and waiting. And he rolls his shoulder back and he points at me and he says, that's exactly what I'm looking for. And true to his word, he promoted me. And then after 18 months of what he called being iterative thought partners, he promoted me again to associate vice president, over 5,000 people. How did I go from crying in an In-N-Out parking lot to leading 5,000 people, all because I had the courage to say how I really felt? And I thought, where did I get this narrative? Why didn't I do it that sooner? Where did I get this narrative that I need to behave and I need to, follow the rules and do what everyone said? Where did that come from? And then I realized, as little girls, we're raised differently. We're told things like, sit still, mind your manners, act like a lady, and my favorite, mommy needs you to be a big girl right now. Like, what does big girl mean? I don't know what it means, but yet I do. I think we all do. It means be good. It means follow the rules. It means stay within the lines. And so in their book by Claire Shipman and Katty Kay called The Confidence Code, they talk about how little girls, we rule the classroom. Oh yeah, you tell us how to get an A and we do it. We love it. We love having that list of things we can go do to ensure we get an A. And even the US Department of Labor shared that even in biology and engineering, women often have higher GPAs than men because we love those rules, following them and getting an A. Now, what are little boys told? Nothing. Little boys are told nothing. Yes. Why? Because boys will be, you know it, boys. Boys will be boys. We know the saying. And so what they say is, while little girls are ruling the classroom, little boys are ruling the playground. Oh yeah, they're out there pushing and shoving and being competitive, and they're teasing each other, and so they're learning to be tenacious while we're learning to be timid. And this comes out at work. Women in the Workplace 2022 said that 48% of frontline managers are now women, which is kind of exciting that we're almost at a parity in a leadership category. But think about what it takes to be a frontline entry-level manager. You follow someone else's rules. You follow someone else's processes. You implement someone else's strategy, like getting our A. And we're great at it. We love it. We do a great job rallying our team and executing. So then why are only 26% of the C-suite women? How do we lose almost half of women between entry level and C-level. And so I reflected on my own career. I mean, I was a corporate executive for a decade. And I went back and thought about sitting in those rooms when I was approving promotions or not approving promotions. What did I hear? What were people looking for? And then I went out and partnered with a researcher, and we did a nationwide study talking to other executives, cross industries, asking them, what were you looking for in executives? Why don't you think women aren't getting promoted? And you know what? I didn't hear that it was qualifications. I didn't hear that it was performance. I didn't hear that it was education. What I heard over and over again was that be good mentality showing up in our relationships. They showed up, they manifested in the way that we interact in our relationships. Self-doubting, self-conscious, self-editing in the way we interacted with our boss, our peers, and our team. And so if we are going to change this, if we are going to get more women into the C-suite, into executive positions, we're going to need relational courage. Relational courage. My friend's a firefighter, and he told me the definition of courage is taking action in the face of your fears. And he would know. And if I were really honest, if I'm really honest, ladies, aren't the things we're most afraid of, acceptance, accolades, approval, aren't they in the confines of relationships? And so for us to boldly change how we interact in relationships, it's gonna take courage. And I know what you're thinking. Hey, Reagan, I'm gonna sit back until I feel confident, and then I'll make some of these changes you're talking about. But here's the truth. Confidence is an emotion. Courage is an action, which means you can have courage right now. In fact, in the face of your fears, you can make changes. And so if we want to move more women from management to senior leadership, it's gonna take relational courage. Let me give you some examples. With our boss, our instinct is going to be compliant. Like, if we just do what they tell us to do, they'll notice us, and we'll get promoted. And then I talk to senior leaders and ask them what they're really looking for. And they say things like, I expect my senior leaders to push back on me. They're not looking for compliance. They are looking for challenging. They're looking for someone who can speak up. Now, this is very risky for women, because if we challenge too much, we're seen as difficult. If we don't challenge enough, we're seen as tactical and not strategic. And so can we use relational courage to do something like ask the killer question? You know what I'm talking about. The question that everybody has that no one has the courage to bring up in the room. Can we bring that question forward, get dialogue going, and look strategic in the process? With our peers, it's totally different. We're worried about competence. We have what I call a competence complex. It's like if we don't know everything about everything, we can't feel confident about anything. We feel like we have to know it all. And I get it. When you're an only in the room, the only woman in the room, I've been there. I've been in that position before. And it's a scary feeling. The last thing you want to do is be the person who doesn't know, who asks the question, who needs help. That's not what you want to do. But we have to ask for help. You know why? Because senior leaders say, I am not looking for a domain expert. In fact, when we asked them to rank what was most important, they put domain expertise at the bottom. What they said is, I'm looking for someone who knows when and where to ask for help. So can we use relational courage for strategic consultation? Can we use relational courage to shift our mindset from when I ask for help, I look stupid, to when I ask you for help as a subject matter expert, you look smart. And with our team, it's about control. We are afraid of failure. Yeah. I mean, no one likes failure, right? No one's like, I want to fail today, right? But we are especially afraid of failure. And so it makes us try to control. It makes us a micromanager. And so we start saying things like, run that by me, I want to see that, don't send that out without me looking at it, and let's make sure it's perfect before we send it. And if it's not perfect, what do? It's just faster if I do it myself, which is a lie. And so with our team, can we use relational courage? Because what I'm hearing executives say is, I don't want you to be controlling and perfectionistic. They say things like, I never want to see a place where decision-making is delegated up. What we need to do is have relational courage to teach our team, then trust our team. Teach them everything we know to empower them, and then trust them to build their capability. They will stumble, they might fall, they might not get it right at first, but eventually they build their capability, which means they can execute without us in the room. I saw this all come to fruition with Joanna. When Joanna joined my team, she had already been with the company over 10 years. And everyone is like, oh my gosh, Joanna's incredible. She's amazing. She's such a high performer. So I said, well, let's move her to senior leadership. And they'd say, is she ready? Do you think she's ready? And I thought, this is bizarre. How could she be so great and not be ready? And so I started examining her relationships. She would be sitting in a room with an extremely senior leader and have a nasty customer issue that she should bring up, but she didn't want to ruffle the feathers, and she didn't want to disturb the meeting, and she didn't want to put people on the spot, so she'd hold back. She had huge ideas, fabulous ideas, but they were definitely outside the bounds of what she could do within herself. Maybe she needed resources or other technical expertise, and she'd say to me, you know, Reagan, should I really reach out to that other person? They're a level above me. I don't want to bother them. And then with her team, she actually had a process where they couldn't send anything out without her editing it. That's code word for rewriting the entire thing, okay? And so I shared this feedback with her. And because she is an incredible leader, she took it and she said, even though I'm introverted, I'm going to use relational courage. And she created a Post-it note that she put on her monitor that said, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, you get pretty bold when you get passed over enough times for promotion. So bold, in fact, she went into that senior leadership meeting and she started bringing up those customer issues. And you know what they told her? Thank you, Joanna. That's exactly the kind of challenging we need from you. And with that big project that had been lingering for a year, she finally just picked up the phone and called the vice president in the other department and said, we need your subject matter expertise, we need your technical expertise, we need your support. And he gave it. And she got a project done that had been lingering for a year. And with her team, she started to let them send me things without her looking at it. Scandalous, I know, but also risky and courageous. And you know what, you guys? It was terrible. Their work was terrible. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad at first. And then we gave them feedback and it got better, and we gave them feedback and it got better, and we gave them feedback and it got better, and they started building their own capability. And she stopped worrying about editing documents and started driving major change as an executive. And she got promoted, hey! And you know what? She's here in the audience today. Can we give her a round of applause? She got promoted, and about 6 months into using relational courage and being a pretty darn good executive, she started to feel more confident. And she changed that Post-it note. She went back and she crossed out worse and she put this: what's the best that can happen? This is the actual Post-it note. The actual Post-it note. And this is just a symbol of how she went from self-conscious and anxious to confident. And so here's my question for you today. Where do you need relational courage? Where are the relationships you have at work that you're self-editing and self-conscious and self-aware? Where do you need to transform? Where do you need relational courage? What needs to be on your Post-it note to give you relational courage? Because you never know what's the best that can happen. Thank you.